From being accused of plagiarizing the game sequence by its director, to fans saying they immediately thought of the PS game when they saw the train scene, is Mission Impossible 7 just an unofficial Uncharted 2 movie? Uncharted's co-director Bruce Straley alleged that the movie copied an action scene from the game. The Mission Impossible franchise, led by veteran actor Tom Cruise, is admired by fans all over the world. After all, who wouldn't look forward to its fast-paced, adrenaline-filled adventures? Its latest installment, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, is another addition to the universe, which was met with widespread recognition and praise when it was released. It was about another adventure around the world, built on the basis of some impressive scenes, which Cruise played to perfection. There was one problem, though. Straley, who's known for being the major person behind the 2009 PlayStation 3 sensation, Uncharted 2, Among Thieves, accused the movie for imitating a vital action sequence from the game. His remarks on Twitter have led people to question if the new Mission Impossible movie blurred the lines between cinematic inspiration and outright replication. The former Naughty Dog employee suggested that the film copied the famous dangling train scene and posted pictures which showed a comparison between the two. Ethan Hunt, played by Cruise in Mission Impossible, and Nathan Drake, the protagonist in Uncharted, seemed to be in similar trouble, hanging from the train carriage. The Uncharted co-director captained the roundup of 4 pictures with the caption, "The sincerest form of flattery," with an assumed wink and a nod. But wait, before we jump to any conclusions, let's look at Dead Reckoning and the scene in detail. In Tom's newest adventure, we see Cruise's IMF agent Hunt returning to face off a new and harmful threat, referred to as the Entity. After a number of dangerous stunts in the 2 hours of increasing mayhem, we see Cruise and co-star Hayley Atwell escaping from a train as cars slowly slide off a cliff. I have to admit, even I noticed similarities between the climatic train set piece and a sequence in Uncharted 2, Among Thieves. The train crashes spectacularly, and when it does, the villain exits the picture, and we see Ethan trying to save his partner in the final act. It's no denying that the moments in the movie, like when Cruise and Atwell hang from outside and inside the train, are nearly identical to those in the video game. While the scene was revolutionary in the PlayStation world, Uncharted 2 wasn't the first title to try a version of this scene. A visually similar set piece in Steven Spielberg's 1997 Jurassic Park sequel, The Lost World, also has a similar scene with Jeff Goldblum and Julianne Moore dangling from an imperiled RV, and so does Inception, with a rotating hallway fight. So it doesn't make sense why Bruce would think that the Mission Impossible 7 copied the scene, unless we go back to 2015, when the movie's director Christopher McQuarrie himself seemingly said that the Uncharted games were an inspiration for the modern Mission Impossible films. When McQuarrie was promoting the Rogue Nation, he voiced his fondness for the franchise and admitted on Twitter that he took influence from Uncharted 3 in the airplane scene in which Cruise hung from the outside of a jet. Uncharted 3 co-director Justin Richmond took this positively, tweeting, "You just made my month," in response to McQuarrie's shout-out. Fans of Uncharted will find this exchange quite amusing, since the Treasure Hunt quadrilogy is famous for deriving inspiration from major blockbuster films. It's quite ironic that now it finds itself in an amusing exchange of influences with the Mission Impossible movie series. How the tables have turned. The fact that the movie reciprocated this trend by incorporating elements from the world of Nathan Drake is a funny twist for fans of both franchises. But the mystery is, why did they copy the sequence in the first place? You see, the train set Price on Uncharted 2 became an icon after the game was released in 2009. So you can't really blame Mission Impossible 7 for wanting to get some inspiration. The movie also ended up being received with a lot of praise worldwide, with a 96% score on Rotten Tomatoes. So looks like everyone is pleased with the result. Yes, the movie may have wandered into some unexpected controversy, but McQuarrie has denied that he was inspired by the Uncharted video game franchise. A fan asked him on Threads if he played or was influenced by the game for that scene because that's what he thought about. The director confirmed that it wasn't the case at all, saying that he honestly knew very little about that video gaming world. After being told by another fan that he'd really like the Uncharted games, the director shrugged off the suggestion. He clarified in a now-deleted tweet from 2015, in which he seemingly cited the game as an inspiration for the Rogue Nation's cargo plane sequence. Christopher went on to say that it was a misinterpretation and that he was actually using the word in the literal sense. Games were just something he knew nothing about, and it makes sense because the two scenes are more different than similar. The similarities were shown in the shots, which featured similar framing. The composition of the two shots from the movie and game were indeed alike, along with the general setup of train cars falling off a cliff. But there were some key differences that set the sequences apart, like the mission that Cruise's character was trying to accomplish, the exploding bridge, and him being accompanied by Atwell's character, Grace. In Uncharted's version of the scene, we see the chaos outside of the train, while Mission Impossible 7 presented the view of what would happen in a crashing locomotive. While I'm not denying that the framing of Ethan holding onto the train railing does resemble the angle at which Drake is shown in the game, the frame is matching only because both creators saw it as the most efficient and entertaining way to capture the scene and bring it to audiences. McQuarrie said he took inspiration from directors Steven Spielberg and John Ford when he approached the movie's big action sequences. And while Christopher hasn't said it explicitly, some of the physical gags from the train sequence and beyond may have been inspired by the silent movie stunts of Buster Keaton. But it doesn't matter whether or not he drew inspiration from the series, because the film has achieved great success in action filmmaking. This reminds me of the success of the first Uncharted film and how Mission Impossible might have ruined the train scene for Uncharted 2. Tom Holland's Uncharted had a great response at the box office, while it received a mixed response from the audience and critics due to its screenplay, casting, and low originality. It still managed to collect a whopping $15.4 million on its opening day and $44.01 million on its opening weekend at the domestic box office. The production budget for the film was $120 billion, and it collected $148.58 million domestically and $401.68 million globally. The movie was called a massive hit in the box office, and people were blown away by the amazing story of Nathan Drake, which was why it became the 9th highest grossing film of 2022 at the worldwide box office. But it's a shock that fans haven't got word on a sequel, despite the film being well received. As of July 2023, no news has been confirmed if Uncharted 2 is along the way, even though the 2022 film left on a somewhat cliffhanger. Nate's brother, Sam, was shown at the end of the movie imprisoned, but otherwise alive and well. It'd be interesting if Uncharted 2 will do the train sequence, which was shown in Mission Impossible 7, yet again on the big screen, as Sony Pictures could bring the Among Thieves story to life for fans around the world. As for what fans have said about the alleged copying, their replies to Straley's tweet confirm that the director wasn't the only one who noticed the similar sequence. One said that there could be similarity, but neither the movie nor Uncharted invented this train set piece. Many tweeted that the PlayStation came to their mind when they saw this movie, while one said that all he could think was Jurassic Park. A user called the copying a lack of creativity, while another sarcastically said that he loved how Bruce was pretending, that he invented something that happened before his movie. Yikes. Well, it's safe to say that the copy was unintended, and even though Mission Impossible 7 does have a striking similarity to the video game, with some even saying it's an unofficial Uncharted 2 movie, I'll just stick to Tom Holland's version of it, which is hopefully released soon. So, there you have it, from fans saying they immediately thought of the past game when they saw the train scene, to being accused of plagiarizing the game sequence by its director. Was Mission Impossible 7 just an unofficial Uncharted 2 movie?